The general settings of the device are adjusted in the Hardware tab on the Preferences page. In the Fan Mode section, selecting Silent will change the speed of the fan depending on the temperature of the switches or heat sinks of the device, which is displayed on this page. But if the maximum power option is selected, the fan of the device will work at its maximum power constantly. By activating the Smart Delay option, if the temperature of the device reaches 55 degrees in the rooms such as distance and overcurrent, where points are used for the test will automatically pause and a message saying cooling will be displayed on the bottom bar of the test screen. The test will not resume until the temperature reaches 45 degrees. The maximum operating temperatures of the device specified in the maximum temperature section. If the temperature of the device exceeds this value, the device will stop working completely. This value can be changed up to 70 degrees, but except for certain conditions, the user must not set the temperature above 60 degrees. In the Switch Off After Test section, the user can specify how many seconds after the test is finished the current and voltage switches should be opened. This number is set to 5 seconds by default, but it can be increased up to 10 seconds. In the Deviation section, the reporting conditions for other errors can be specified. By default, it is specified in the software that if the actual voltage of the device added to the value specified in the software exceeds 4 voltage, or the current difference passes 500 mA, the other error should be displayed. In the Relative section, this value is specified as a percentage of the value specified in the test. In the actual operating mode, the device uses the highest value among these two for the error message. In the Binary Input Status section, it is specified that which binary is connected and which binary is not. In the Disable Error section, you can disable possible errors of the device. Select All Error Other. Other error is displayed when the device is unable to produce the current and voltage asked by the user. The cause for this error can be the voltage outputs short-circuiting or the current outputs open-circuiting. By opening the drop-down of each error's fields, any error can be disabled for a number of voltage and current outputs. Select All Error Self. Every time before running the test, the device checks its internal hardware to determine whether it's capable of generating 50 voltage or minus 50 voltage and 5 ampere and minus 5 ampere of current. If there is a problem, the device displays a self-calibration error. Error Thermal. This error is displayed when the temperature of the device's sensors is increased. Occasionally, the thermal sensor of one of the switches has a problem, indicating irrational temperatures such as 800 degrees. In this case, in the slider of this section, it is possible to deactivate the thermal error to continue working with the device. Error over current binary 9. The binary 9 of the device can measure the current up to 500 mA. If the input current of this binary exceeds this value, the error is displayed. Select All Error over Voltage binary, depending on the duration specified for them. If their input voltage exceeds the specified limit, the binary inputs of the device will display this error. In the 4.5 voltage mode, if the input voltage of any of the binaries exceeds 4.5 voltage, the device will display this error. In the times for ignoring overvoltage binary field, the maximum time allowed to ignore the overvoltage error of the binary is specified. By default, it is said that if the time for overvoltage error is not shorter than 100 milliseconds, the device will not display any error about this matter. Note that Error Thermal and Error over Current binary 9 are of dangerous errors of the device. Adjusting their deactiveness is not saved by the software. So every time you run the software, the user is to deactivate the error manually when needed. The Check RAM section is used for testing the RAM that is used in the AMT. In the repetition field, the number of times that a series of data written in the RAM and erased is specified. This section can be used in the case of uncertainty about the performance of the device's RAM. Since the writing and reading operations are performed on the RAM multiple times eventually, if there is a problem in this process, the error light on the panel of the device will turn on. In the Earth section, it is possible to enable or disable the Earth error of the device. If the Enable option is checked, it is necessary to connect the Earth cable to perform the test. Otherwise, an Earth error will be displayed and the device will stop working. This error can be deactivated by unchecking the Enable option, but it is vital to note that doing so during the test can be lethal, and it is also stated in the displayed message. Vebko company will not take any responsibilities for this. It is possible to activate or deactivate the main hardware switches of the device in the switches section. The switch number 1 is related to the voltages and currents of group A, and switch number 2 is related to the voltages and currents of group B output. By deactivating every switch, all outputs of the switch will be deactivated. In the combination cable section, if the voltage option is selected, the outputs of the neutral cable will include 3 currents and 3 voltage phases. But if the current option is selected, the output of the cable will consist of 2 3-phases current groups, which are used for various tests such as differential test. The Open Vdc Setting option is used to enable the DC output voltage of the device. By clicking on this option, the VDC diagrams page opens. On this page, in the DC value field of the Apply section, the output DC value of this port is specified. This value can be set up to a maximum of 212 VDC. By clicking on the Apply option, the auxiliary DC port of the device will inject the amount that is specified in the DC value field. The auxiliary DC output can be disabled by clicking on the Disable DC option. By activating the Record Period option, in the next field, a duration of time is specified for recording the output signal of this port. Now in the Values section, the amount of current and voltage produced by the auxiliary DC port is displayed. The maximum current field shows the maximum current taken from this port. In the following 2 diagrams, the instantaneous amount of voltage and DC current of this port are indicated. It is also possible to save the settings set on this page as a PDF file by clicking on the Export Report option. To reset and update the amount of current displayed in the Maximum Current section, you can click on the Reset Maximum Current option. By checking the dancing light option, the LED in front of the device will turn on in the dancing manner. This feature is used to test the functionality of the LEDs of the device.